afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world right now. I hope you're having a really great day, and welcome back to the Polyhedra Show. So today we have a really special fireside planned. I'm really excited for it. It's our very first ecosystem partner show. We're going to be having many of these going forward, but this is a really, really great one to kick it off. We're going to be using this format to explore how our community of partners is driving innovation, not just on EXPchain, but across all of the industry. So I'm very, very pleased to kick us off today and introduce our now regular guest, actually, Eric Vreeland. He's, of course, our Chief Strategy Officer here at Polyhedra. Many of you know him already, and you know his expertise in our field. Also, his knack for knowing the questions that you want to ask before you've even asked them. So always really valuable having Eric on a fireside. And I'm very, very excited to introduce our newest guest for this partner show, Maggie Wang, the COO of Zypher Network. So I've got to say, I found it really inspiring seeing how our teams have worked together, obviously coming from very different specialities, but sharing that common goal, and together not only enhancing our product ecosystem on EXPchain, but also showing what's possible when innovative ideas meet practical solutions. So I think today's conversation is going to give you a glimpse into how these ecosystem partnerships are evolving. Of course, we're going to be talking verifiable gaming and all the exciting possibilities on the horizon. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Thank you so much for joining us again, Eric, and thank you for joining us today, Maggie. I'll give it to you guys. Let's get started.
Awesome. Thank you for the great introduction, Anthony. Hello, everyone. Thanks to our audience for tuning in, whether it's the morning or the evening. I know, Maggie, it's a little bit late for you. Welcome to the show, Maggie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great day, and I hope everyone is having a great day, like what Anthony just said. And I'm so happy to close my day with this Twitter space or this stream. And we got a lot of very exciting topic to share today, and really, really excited to be on the show with you, Eric. So I think we're kind of like old friends. I mean, our projects are kind of old friends now. It's been like about a year since we first spoke about doing some partnership together. And back then it was about, doing some integration with the bridge and our rollup framework. So I think our team first met with your team in person. It was actually back to 2023 in the in-person hackathon hosted by EXPchain, and you guys were one of the co-sponsors. And one of our ZK game actually won the first place winner in that hackathon, and that is how we got connected, because we used your on-chain random number generator on OP or EXPchain. Sorry, I don't remember the details, but it was like really working well, and the game was really cool. And we're about to actually launch this game on the mainnet with a token very soon. So there has been a lot of amazing things happened in our ecosystem as well over the past year, and obviously so many great things happen on your side as well. So I guess I'm a little bit off topic. I'll give it back.
No. I think, it's you bring up a lot of good points. One that we've been kind of wanting to work together for so long, and I think the way that we're kind of moving forward with our partnership now is great. We were just chatting before the show, and you were mentioning all of your team members are really enthusiastic about gaming.
Yeah.
I think that we share a similar sentiment here. I know a lot of our team are really big gamers, and so when you combine our kind of passions for ZK and gaming, it only makes sense that we kind of come together to build out a really strong partnership. And I'm sure our community and our audience, probably there's already a lot of overlap, but also I'm probably, I'm guessing that the people that are tuning in today are probably fans of ZK as a technology and probably spend a good deal of their time gaming. So I'm excited that we can kind of combine those two into a unique topic for today's discussion. But before we get started on kind of ZK and verifiable gaming, For the people in the audience who may not be familiar with Zypher Games, can you share just a high level kind of what are you guys building?
Yeah, so we're building a ZK computation layer for verifiable AI agents and also a verifiable depth logic for high performance applications such as gaming. So AI and gaming or AI games is actually one of our biggest focus right now. We're supporting about 30 to 50 games, and right now we have deployed one of the first games that is already live and doing some campaign on the EXP testnet. And like over the past week, we have, I guess, like at least thousands of gamers trying that game. And we're going to share more details about the campaign. So that's like what we are doing on a very high level. And just maybe one more thing about our infrastructure. Everything is centered around a distributed proving layer and incentivized by merged mining. So everything that we do can be can be summarized as providing trustless applications for users that is secured by ZK, and the ZK proof is generated or guaranteed by this distributed prover network and incentivized by merged mining. So this is like a very high level conclusion on the things that we do. I'm going to share way more details later.
Amazing. And you just gave a little bit of a mention to the recent gaming campaign that we're working on together. Can you share some more details on the campaign for people who may not be aware of it or may not be participating already? What are the details?
Yeah, so the name of the game is called Z2048. So it's basically just a verifiable or fully on-chain version of the classic 2048 game, which is a very, very classic tile matching game. And you just match the tile, slide the tile. If you have two of the same numbers, if they match, they're going to merge and become a double of the number of the original tile. For example, if you merge two of the tile twos, you're going to get one tile four. And the end of the game, I think, is probably not just ending at 2048. It's like over 1,000. Over 10,000, some like really, really big number in there. We actually have some users in our community that has actually come to the end of the game. But unfortunately, we don't have any special rewards for users who come to the end of the game. And for this campaign that we are hosting together and really honored to be sponsored by the Polyhedra team. We are setting up 2 prize pools to encourage the users and adding a little bit of competitive nature to encourage the users. So there's like a really big prize pool of 500 ZKJ token for the top 10 users. And because the game is like doesn't have a centralized server, it's completely fair and like there's no backdoor. Like whichever users is getting to the top of the leaderboard within the top 10 leaders, he's going to be really good at the game. And you can see the replay, which is recorded in IPFS. You can see the replay of any of the top users and how they excel the game. You can actually learn from how they manage to get to the top on the leaderboard. So 10 users share a big prize pool of 500 ZKG token. And there's also another 500 ZKG tokens for users who participate and reach a minimum requirement of 256 tiles, which is very easy. Like I can play for maybe 10 minutes and I can, reach to this level. And I think this prize pool is shared by much more users if you participate and register on Galaxy. So you play the game on chain and you get an SBT after you reach to this level, and everything is just streamlined. Galaxy is going to grab the data from the EXPchain. So everything is streamlined. Once you reach to this tile, you can just go to Galaxy and, claim the rewards. So this is like a quick introduction to the campaign that we are doing. So the campaign is ending on, I think, on the 19th or on the 20th. So there's still like one more week.
Still one more week. And I know from experience, from having played the game myself, you will be able to probably get to 256 pretty quickly. So go ahead and do that. And then for a little audience engagement, if you have been playing and you are you think you have an impressive high score, why don't you share a screenshot of your high score with us in the comment section? We'd love to see how everyone is doing on the game. I definitely have not gotten to the 10,000 or breaking the game yet, so I still have some I still have some work to do. So I think a little bit before we talked about Z2048, you were talking about this idea of verifiable gaming and using ZK to create this kind of trustless gaming platform. Can you talk about why is verifiable gaming important? Why is fairness and transparency something that is needed in the gaming space?
Yeah, I think that's like a really good question. And I think there's no like one answer to this question. And I feel like the gaming industry, especially the Web3 gaming industry, is still debating about it. And from my personal view, I guess like maybe let's first look at how a game is structured in a centralized way. There will be a client side, which is how you play the game on your computer, and all of the data that you generate when you play the game is synchronized and stored in a centralized server, and they have like certain centralized backend as a service. That is like really, really already very good in Web2 space, and they will just process all the data in a centralized manner. And when people first bring games to Web3, how they are doing it is like they are still storing the data in the centralized database and in the centralized server, but at the same time, they give you a token on chain, which is pointing to the data that is recorded in a centralized manner. So this actually brings two issues. The first thing is like, although like people claim that you have the sovereignty of the asset, but you actually don't, because you cannot use the asset outside of the game. And if they try to nullify or change the rule of the game, like your asset in the game will be nullified as well. So you don't actually have real ownership of the asset. So no digital ownership. And some of the GameFi projects might claim that you actually have the NFT, so you have digital ownership of the asset. And another issue from a developer's perspective is like when they develop this game, they need to have a group of data scientists. So like we interviewed with a lot of people who are data scientists, and I was like at the very beginning, I was very confused. Like, why do Web3 game studios, like why do they need so many data scientists? Because they need to scale the centralized database, and also because it needs to be mirrored with the on-chain NFT assets. Like it's way more complicated than just building a centralized game. So it is not decentralized, it is not permissionless, because I think one of the very classic scenario when people first talk about composable games on chain is like you build is like, for example, if you have a mod of the GTA game, like the assets you have in the mod, you cannot use it in the main game itself. So there's no composability there. But in Web3 gaming, the way that like so-called GameFi projects are building the game, like under this method, the game is structured, like you cannot actually have composability of your game assets as well. And I personally feel like blockchain matters for a lot of reasons. And one of the very important reasons is like it provides really good financialization mechanism and really good asset issuance mechanism, right? So if we cannot provide this in games, it doesn't make sense to put games on chain. But at the same time, if we look at a lot of the very traditional games, even if they're centralized, they are very UGC oriented. I think a very good example is Half-Life. I think in Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, they actually started building like economic system in the games, and they actually hired a professor who is later the head of finance in Greece. And back in the days, they're like the one who started a lot of the protocols that we're following today in like designing a gaming economy. It's like you need to have a token, which is like the currency in the game, and at the same time you need to have a marketplace. At first, when there's no marketplace, like the gamers are just using battering systems. And you can see that there's a natural evolvement, that there's the need for currency and there's the need for asset ownership and like free exchanges of assets in the games. And back in the days, like in the Half-Life time, they did a lot of experiments. And even if the game is not on chain, like it is still very UGC oriented, and people are creating, for example, mods and interesting assets and interesting stories in the games. They are like having a lot of social features. So like decentralization doesn't have to associate with blockchain, but if we're bringing the economic system on chain, it is providing a systematic, way for people to permissionlessly deploy assets or trade assets, or like having interesting financialization mechanisms in the games. And for us specifically, we build a lot of casual games. Although like gaming isn't our only focus, but in the past year we did like onboarded about 30 casual games. And for those games, I think like having it to be fair, like like you don't have any you don't have like the game developers don't have any advantages over you is very important when you play, for example, Texas Hold'em. If you're good, you're going to win money from the game. Or if you're playing a different casual game, like you can monetize from the game through tokens or assets. I think that's very important for casual games. So people are having fun, but at the same time they're earning some tokens. There's like definitely other reasons why like you want to bring game assets on chain, but I think those two that I mentioned is like some of the very basic requirements that people want to have. So we want to like really meet the most basic requirements, and then think about more advanced, more interesting like mechanisms in the games that we can fulfill for more complex games.
Absolutely. I know. I think it was a few weeks ago, it was going around on X, Elon being the number one Diablo player in the world. And I know a lot of people were like, all right, I'd love to verify that. I have, he's running Tesla, he's running SpaceX, and he's also spending 80 hours a week playing Diablo. So how is this guy doing it? So that might be an interesting use case for verifiable games, is verifying, the top leaderboards. And that's kind of what we're doing with Z2048. Let's dive a little bit more. So now we've kind of launched this game on EXPchain, which we've been talking about on the Polyhedra show for the past couple weeks. Can you talk about the experience deploying the game on EXPchain and kind of how that went for you, and was there anything unique about that experience, and why you think kind of EXPchain aligns well with what you guys are building at Zypher?
Yeah, maybe let's first talk about the deployment process. So I'm on the operations side, so I'm not the engineers who deploy the smart contract myself. But I did hear some feedback from our engineers, like there's nothing special in the deployment process, which is really good. Which is the best thing you can think of when you have a EVM chain, right? So we have deployed this game on Ethereum mainnet and some other EVM chains, and I think in some of the chains there's like certain ZK related EC pairing thing that is not compatible, and this will happen if you're not, for example, a layer 2, which is not a standard OP stack. If you are a ZK EVM and you didn't add support for certain EC pairing, which is the thing that we like our ZK mechanism is relying on. But it seems like your chain, like the testnet, is like working really well, and like the deployment process is like just take us maybe one day, and then there's another day for testing. We actually, I think we first talked with like Anthony about deploying the game one day before Christmas, and on January the 1st, the game was actually deployed and running pretty good. And for us, I think one of the special things that we added is a guidance that is pointing to your faucet, because it is on testnet and users need to go to your faucet and get the test tokens first and then come back to the game. And the other stuff, I think, is just pretty straightforward. Like we did the tutorials for your users, but I feel like the game is pretty straightforward, and we already have the guidance or instructions in the game itself. So it seems to be pretty straightforward, and so far I think it's quite stable. Like my personal assumption is your TPS might be better than some of the layer 2s as a layer 1. But like right now, it seems like we don't have any benchmarking data. But in our internal testing, I think at least 1,000 or 2,000 gamers can play the game at the same time, and there won't be any congestion. Like another thing maybe I can mention is like your block time right now admittedly isn't the shortest, but I feel like when we actually do actual transactions or getting the tokens from the faucet or actually play the games, we don't feel any latency or delay, which is pretty good. I'm sure like you guys have planned to even cut the block time to even shorter. So like right now, I am very bullish on the testnet itself, and very looking forward to the mainnet launch. And we have 2048 is the first game, that we talked about doing a campaign, but it's a permissionless environment. I think at least the 3 other developers in our gamers community have already deployed the 3 other games on your testnet. So the contract is there, like they didn't report any issue. I think everything should be working really well. And this is our current deployment process. And we are also testing our AI agents that, we have on the 2048 game. Like we're going to deploy AI mode later when we have, more mature financialization model for this game. It may or may not be this game. It might be another game that we might have more use of the AI agents. So AI or the support for ZKML, like you guys also have the ZK PyTorch or proof of intelligence. This is another very big reason why we are so bullish for your chain and your community. This is like why even like right now, like we don't have the ML stuff live yet. We still want to deploy one of the first game because we want your community to know about us, which, like from my point of view, is going to save us a lot of effort in terms of go-to-market strategies or building community, because you guys already have such amazing community who are going to, just try out your applications and support applications in your ecosystem. This is like why we're deploying a bunch of different type of application first, like from gaming to social to like all the book decks. And then like a bit later, like we're going to have more integration on the AI side and really try out your ZKML related stuff.
Absolutely. And I think you nailed it. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the collaborations between Zypher and Polyhedra. So we are definitely looking forward to continuing and working on some of the AI and ZKML stuff in the future. And I just want to highlight something you mentioned at the beginning of your answer, which was, there was no difference between deploying this, onto EXPchain and deploying this to Ethereum. And that is, intentional. And like you said, I think that's what every EVM compatible or every EVM equivalent chain wants to hear. So that's great to hear. And then the second is that it had all of the infrastructure that you needed for a ZK application. And so those are really the two of the primary points that we are trying to share with developers as they're looking for a chain to build is one, the deployment process is going to be very similar. If you're building a chain, if you're building an application for EVM, your development process is going to be almost identical, and you will not have to make many modifications to launch it on EXPchain. And then I think the second is the support for ZK. We are, at our heart, a ZK infrastructure company. We were born out of a ZK research lab. We believe that ZK is going to become more and more and more important as blockchain continues to grow. And we want this chain to be the place where if you're building a ZK application, you can come and we're going to have support for you, and the performance is going to be the best that's out there. So thank you for kind of validating that in the wild.
Oh, I think sorry, Eric. Maybe just mention 2 things real quick. The first thing, sorry, I just forgot about it because 2048 is not written in Expander, but we do have a lot of good things to say about Expander, which is also why we wanted to deploy it on your chain, because you definitely have like native support for the proof system in your chain itself. So we don't need to do any extra effort for any integration for the new proof system. And we actually have a research report on why Expander is really good for gaming type of use cases. So I'm not going to dive deep in there, but this is something that is very important for our next game that we are building right now. And another thing, like specifically, you guys are a layer 1, and from our past experience in working with some of the layer 2s, like some of the layer 2s can be very expensive. And when they explain to you why they are so expensive, they will explain to you that they're paying all this blob or taxation or like proof cost to Ethereum main chain, which like for developers, it can be very expensive, especially for us, we have too many transactions. So for layer 1s, I believe even if you guys go on mainnet, if we request for it, you guys might provide us like special RPC for us, or like, fulfill for certain requests, because you guys are layer 1. So different from like any layer 2 that is using standard OP stack, you guys have the engineering resources and ability to make adaptations to like developer toolings or fulfill a certain thing. And also see you guys have app chain infrastructure on your roadmap. So I guess like customization, like for future concerns, is like one big thing that is going to be very valuable later for larger applications. But admittedly, this game is like, it's more casual, it's for the community to play with. I think it's perfect for testnet.
Absolutely, and shout out to Expander. We'd love to collaborate with you guys and getting Expander integrated into some of your tooling and your games. And I think you nailed it perfectly with that. Like, we decided to build a layer 1 because we had a very good idea of what improvements needed to be made to improve this developer experience for developers building AI applications, for developers building, ZK powered games, any ZK applications or ZK infrastructure that needed to be out there. We felt that there were certain things that were missing from existing solutions, and we could build that. But we know that there's also a lot of opinions and feedback that other developers may have. We are a relatively small team, and that's the purpose of this testnet, right? Is we want teams to launch on it, but know that, that's what testnet is for. It's for gathering feedback. It's for working like teams like the Zypher team and hearing what, what improvements you think we can make to make this better, because we do have full control over those customizations and those modifications that need to be made. And we want to work very closely with the teams building on us to make it the best possible experience. So I guess let's move on a little bit from kind of the technical portion of the interview, and let's go into the game. Let's go more into the gaming and the campaigns. So I'd love to hear, you guys, you said you have over 30 games. I'd love to hear some of your strategies or tactics that you've found that have been successful in attracting new players, because obviously players are the lifeblood of a lot of these kind of gaming platforms. What have you found has worked well for bringing awareness to the games that you're building and bringing more gamers on chain?
I guess I'm going to give you one counter argument, and then a counter argument to this counter argument to support your point. So first of all, we internally have 2 teams. Like, I am with Zypher.network, which is the backend services for games or other type of applications that we're supporting. So basically, the underlying business is to build a ZK computation layer, which is the proven network, and also the ZK coprocessors, which is the template or SDKs that we provide to developers who wants to use the ZK stuff, but they don't want to build the circuit themselves, because like not everyone is as strong as like your team is in terms of like ZK engineering. And also we have the AI verification framework that we are like very much focused on. So for us, like our clients is really the game studios that work with us. So we don't do direct go-to-market strategies on my side, which is the network side. But we also have a department called Zypher.game, which is like the URL, like, or the website link is Zypher.game. It has a list of the 30 to 50 games that we are supporting right now and supporting them with go-to-market strategies. I think some of the useful things that we have done in the past is to work with like partners that has really good traffic, like you guys, like some of the other partners on the wallet side, they're going to get you a lot of traffic. But for this thing, like it usually costs you something to do this, and you need to be very careful, or you need to do really good research on like where your target audience are. Like, for example, if you're designing a game for like the Russian or Eastern European, like this area, and you wanted to work with certain partners that has the fiat on-ramp services for those users, because when you build a game, like it's not like you're building an application for airdrop hunters. Like the more people are coming, the better. You want to really attract users who have real value. And because for each of the user, there's an average price for doing placement, advertisement placement, or distribution channel is going to be an average price, like maybe $1 per person. And you're going to realize like whether you're going to get $1 back from each of the user on average. If you get more than $1, like then your game is making money. So for a lot of the gaming studios, they're just like very, very realistic because they are like, some of them are not native Web3 companies. A lot of them are, for example, like game studios that have very successful experience with WeChat games, or other type of like casual games on certain websites. In China, for example, there's like one thing that we play a lot called 4399. It's like basically a portal of a lot of casual games in there. And so they don't rely on token for business model. They rely on like really good content distribution and really good return from real users who are paying them money. And there's another bunch of there's another type of game clients that we work with. For example, there's this fully on-chain Texas Hold'em, and in the hand-holding process, like we're doing the entire integration process for them. And at the same time, because they don't have a centralized server, they don't have any compliance. Basically like very little compliance risk associated with the game, even if it is a poker game, because everything is smart contract based. And who is making the money? There's no house. Like the users are just having a very fair distribution model between them. And for this game, like they're actually earning a lot of the money from the users just by doing it very fair and earning the money from like winning the game. Like this is like purely winning from mass. So there's no token, there's no inflationary yield. This is real yield, but they're providing emotional value or like other value to the users. So there will be a lot of users who are getting to them. And for them, like we actually refer them to some of the Web3 projects that are Web3 native to get more users and traffic to them. So I feel like it's more like case by case situation for different users. Or different games that is targeting users of different kinds, different age, like you do different things. And one thing specifically that is very interesting for us in terms of attracting to the users on the network side is like you want to provide as much good user experience as possible, because we are still a decentralized system. We're using ZK. Like it means like our user experience is not going to win those centralized user experience at all. And blockchain isn't for better user experience. It's for decentralized, permissionless, and secured assets and data. And I think in the long run, like by designing really good financialization model, like users were going to feel that you have those advantages that is not directly in user experience, but in like financialization model, like mentioned earlier, like users are here for something, either they're for fun or they're for making money and having fun at the same time. So it's pretty much case by case. But I guess the thing that we can do is to make sure we work with the best partners on the infrastructure side, like you guys, and as a middleware, we provide as better developer tooling for the developers, so we can work with the best studios. Like on Steam, like there's like tens or hundreds of thousands of games out there. Is not always the best game that burns the most money that wins. We know a lot of games, especially in this year, like the latest Assassin's Creed, or there's like a game by Sony, I forgot the name, but they're like AAA standard, but they're not attracting as many users and they're not making any money. But there's also like indie games with like really small studios that may be made by like one developer or three developers that still attract a lot of people because they have very interesting gameplay. So I think different users are attracted by different things. And for other use cases like other book DAX or other like social applications, we just make sure they have certain like decentralized things that attract to certain users that care about this part of decentralization.
Absolutely. I was reading an interesting article the other day that was talking about kind of the evolution of game studios and how now they have really become, almost big or bigger than movie studios because of this focus on, especially for these AAA games, right? The focus on graphics, focus on making it as realistic as possible. And I think that worked. It seems like that has worked up into a point, but that the incremental gains are not there. Like you're not going to attract, millions more players by going from as realistic as we have it look today to even more realistic. Like we've gotten to a point where people are satisfied with the realism in gaming. And because of that, less attention has been put on unique, gameplay and unique game mechanisms. And maybe it's time that we start to think about that, focus on that again, because, at the end of the day, people are often gaming to, escape from reality, to transport themselves into this fantasy world, or to just take their mind off of, work or whatever is going on with a casual game. And, so they may want something that's going to strengthen or test their mind, and trying to work on these unique game mechanisms, I think is one way to do that. So I think you brought up a really good point. One thing I also wanted to shout out was I know we used to run some poker games in the Polyhedra community. So I know you have a lot of interested poker players in the audience right now. So maybe they can go check out the Texas Hold'em game on your platform. I think before we open it up to community questions, I wanted to just do one more. Maybe, you have mentioned a few times your focus as this, enabling verifiable gaming and then your AI agents, and that aligns very well with kind of the long-term vision that we have for EXPchain. So maybe you can share a little bit more details on kind of the long-term roadmap for Zypher and where you guys, see us going in the long run.
Yeah, so maybe I can fact check one thing with you regarding how I understand about your like AI infrastructure. Like you guys have the ZKML and ZK PyTorch, and PyTorch or Tensor. They're both like very widely used method to train the AI model. That is under the machine learning sort of methodology. So like you guys are using the ZK circuit to write the entire like training model, which is like super complicated, and that is why you guys are using Expander, which is which is like one of the most efficient proof systems that can support this type of like really big data like training kind of stuff. So this is my like very high level understanding. And on our stuff, do you want to comment?
Oh no, I was gonna say that sounds correct, but I would have to check with our repeat guest, Jen Fei, our chief cryptographer, on that. So I can neither confirm nor deny, but your understanding is as good as mine. But yes, okay. You can continue.
Yeah. But I guess like starting from there, so on our stuff right now, we're developing to like more like middleware type of AI, verifiable AI agent related products. One of them is called like proof of inference. Like, so basically we're writing very smaller, like not the LLM kind of AI models, and we're writing that with ZK circuits. So we make sure like when like the AI agent is using the data from the game to do the inference model and then make an action in the game, it is actually fair. It is actually verifiable, because this process used to be like a black box, and you don't know if like different AI agents they collude with each other. And we have a game which is like a on-chain Ludo or on-chain Arrow chess. So in the game, it's like you are 1 or 2 human player matched with 2 or 3 agent player, and we're going to make sure that those agent player, if they're registered with us, they don't collude with each other to have certain benefit or certain advantages against the human player. So the game is completely fair. So we can feel free to add any financialization model or betting model in the game. And there's another thing that we're doing, which is called proof of prompt. So we make sure the prompting process is adhering to the original rules that the creator or the developer of this AI agent has claimed it is. So this is regarding the prompting service and regarding the inference process. But for us right now, like when we do this, it's kind of, it doesn't have any self-learning ability. So if we have 30 games right now, we can do one AI agent that can play by itself autonomously in those 30 different games. But if you're giving it like a 31 game or a 40 game or another 30 game, it wouldn't have any new learning ability. But you guys have the ZKML thing, which means like if we use the first 30 game to train with the AI model together with our our verification contract, even if we don't show everything in the circuit, it will know the game rules by itself. So when it encounters a new game, it can just know how to play the game itself. And it can only do this with our infrastructure, not any other GameFi, because the GameFi itself is just a very, very big box. So if I'm going to share, say, a centralized game with your AI agent, like your super intelligent AI agent, the AI agent wouldn't know anything. Like it has zero knowledge of the GameFi project. But if I give you our game, everything is verifiable and you can see the contract. But at the same time, we can still make sure like certain information in the game is encrypted. But it doesn't matter because the game rule or the gameplay is verifiable and it can be deducted from the verification contract. So like we can easily maybe deploy another 100 games, and like your super intelligent ZK, like agent powered by Polyhedra's ZKML is going to, just automatically know how to play the new game itself. And it sounds like really simple, but when we combine that with financialization model, I know I keep talking about this word, but basically I wanted to see if all those games have a token and it can play against like 1,000 real gamers in a day, and it will have a real yield from the users. And you can add staking model to it. So you can stake with the super intelligent AI agent. So like I know there's like almost 1 million users in your community, say maybe 100,000 of them wanting to play games today, and they're playing like those 100 games that we're providing you guys. And the AI agent is playing against all of them. So it's going to have a certain earning, and you guys can do a staking product from your from earning from your community. So this is just imaginary things I'm talking about, but you see the idea now. We can use DeFi mechanisms.
Yeah, no, I think I asked for the long-term vision, and I think you highlighted a couple points that I want to share that I think we're aligned on. One is the importance of transparency and trust that ZK offer in in the gaming space, in AI. Like you said, a lot of these centralized systems have been black boxes or are black boxes, and ZK offers an excellent tool for bringing that verifiability to it. And then beyond that, and I think we can kind of see where Zypher is going, is this financial element of bringing yield and bringing financial incentives back to the community via either an AI agent or some gameplay mechanism. And I think that that's really exciting, because you're thinking of new ways of kind of engaging and keeping users engaged, not only by just having 100 games, which already in itself is incredibly impressive. I'll give you one, a few 30 seconds to respond to that if you would like to, before we bring Anthony back in.
Yeah. So I guess just one more thing to generalize that. Like, although a lot of people think us of launching a lot of games, but we are exploring different things like Poly Market or Pump.Fun, like this type of infrastructure. And I see the resemblance of the example of the AI agents and Pump.Fun or Poly Market. It's kind of a PvP game, but it has real yield. So instead of we giving people yield with some some new tokens that we're giving them, if we're doing that, there's going to be a death spiral. It's not going to be sustainable. But if we're going to do this thing, but is kind of more intelligent version of Poly Market or a more intelligent version of Pump.Fun, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be open up like new possibilities that is not there yet. So it's going to be very interesting, and I am really looking forward to like you guys have like more demos on the ZKML stuff. It's like very, very powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'll just wrap up here. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. And I think just on the ZKML stuff, I'll use this as an opportunity to shout out our Explore Expander Bootcamp for any developers that are interested in learning more about building with ZK PyTorch, building verifiable ML and AI applications. We have a bootcamp / hackathon starting on Monday. It's free to join. We'll be giving out grants to the top projects, and yeah, we'd love to see some of the Zypher team there as well. That would be great. All right, so with that, I will bring Anthony back in. We probably have another 2,000 questions from the community, so we'll at least get to a few of them. Anthony, how you doing?
Absolutely, yeah, I'm doing great. That was really, really informative, guys. I've got to tell you, I've seen a lot of content, a lot of videos on this, on this topic in particular, and you guys there's a lot to pass through there, and I know that the community is agreeing with me. Really, just great feedback. I just got to say, guys, everyone on Discord right now, it's just going too quick. I can't even read the comment. Like it's just one after another, but we do have some that we collected beforehand. So guys, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to refer to them because there's just a lot coming through. But also, just for you guys, some really great comments as well. Just on really impressive on the speed of transactions in the game. And yeah, just a lot of very, very nice comments. So thank you so much, guys. What we did, if you do want your questions definitely answered, again, you can ask them a little bit earlier before the stream, and I'll try and get to as many as possible. So let's jump in here, guys. We'll start off with one from Iso Babai. Are there plans to involve the community in co-creating games?
Oh, definitely. And this is also very interesting. Maybe we can build something together with the Polyhedra team. I'll use the example of Crypto Rumble, which is the Binance Hackathon winner, which is kind of, associated to how we met, with your team. And for this game, it's like a fully on-chain, also tile matching game, but it's like a match 3 game, just like Candy Crush. And for this game, in the next stage, we're going to open up an AI map editor in the game. So any community member, they can just permissionlessly deploy their own stage of the game and design their own map of this certain stage of the game. And he can have an entrance fee, or he can set up his own rewards. So I guess instead of co-creating the game with the community, we're just going to give you guys a game editor so you can just create the game in whichever ways that you guys want. But of course, depending on what your community is proposing, we can definitely explore more game genres, or work with certain IPs or NFTs, or certain game studios, or you guys together to launch new games.
Awesome.
That's really, really cool.
I mean, yeah, amazing. I would love to see what our community has to what ideas they have cooking.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, send through some ideas if you have them. I know that there's probably going to be not right now. Just give it, maybe just wait till after the stream. But all right, let's try and pass through a few more of these. I've got one here from Ethel that I think is really, really great. So let me jump into it. So she has said, Z2048 is amazing. Is EXPchain or Zypher looking to partner with current Web 2 games and possibly onboard these into the Web 3 and the future of gaming?
Yeah, so I think she's specifically, she's specifically referring to AAA studios. Right now, we don't have too many plans to actually launch any AAA game with our infrastructure, because we're still testing it, and actually conversation with AAA studio to actually launch a game, it can take 1 or 2 years. The cycle is very long. But most of the game studios that we work with is not Web3 native. And the reason that they're working with us, because we are providing full developer support for them. This is we provide the entire blockchain abstraction. So we're abstracting away the entire process of having smart contracts, like deploying the contracts, having like the NFT assets, etc., etc. So they're like the Web2 studios that we service for, and they just need to have ideas for the gameplay or ideas for the UI, and we're taking care of everything on the back end for them. So we're already working with a lot of Web2 studios, and we have a lot of amazing games actually on Telegram right now, and some are actually centralized for now, but we're like working on the back end with the Zk circuit later and launching that on Polyhedra's EXPchain. So definitely have a lot more to share with your community.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really, really exciting. I think that's a natural segue into this next question as well, in terms of Web 2 to Web 3. But I did see, I was reading earlier, it was a Blockchain Game Alliance annual survey, which was saying that the share of daily active wallets in Web3 gaming has been hovering around 30% and has been consistently hovering around 30%. So obviously very important for onboarding from Web 2 to Web 3. But that does follow on to this next question. So in your opinion, why is Web3 gaming better than regular Web 2? And do you think all future games will be made on blockchain?
That's really good question. Yeah, so I think why is it better? Because the assets is on chain, you actually own the NFT, and ideally you can use this NFT in some of the other games. So it has full composability and programmability. Like mentioned earlier, we can have the AI editors, so the game is more autonomous. Like people, I think the like gaming industry, the blockchain gaming industry used to talk about the concept called autonomous world, meaning everything like from the gameplay to the data storage is happening on chain, and everything is autonomous. Obviously, we are still some like distance from actually realizing a game like that, but I think at some point we're going to get there, and everything is going to be fully autonomous, but at the same time have really good user experience. And right now, for example, we are using Expander or other proof system. Expander in our case is very suitable because you guys can support very efficient proof verification, and it's like it can support large data, so we can put like a lot of the data that is happening off chain in the gameplay and then submit that on chain in a Zk proof. So right now I think it's kind of like an intermediary solution because we're not putting everything in smart contracts, but we still want the same level of permissionless and decentralization in the games to make sure it's real decentralized games. And I don't think every game is going to be Web3. It depends, right? Because like Web3 is just the transferring the trust from centralized system to a decentralized system. But you can still choose to trust a game studio. But like for example, like Ubisoft, a lot of people is talking like so many bad things about them this year. Like I think like maybe at some point like people don't want to trust in centralized game studios, but again, like I feel like gaming is a very mature business. There's enough competitiveness to guarantee that there's always going to be really, really good Web2 games that are out there that people are just playing for fun. Like they don't want anything that is related to assets. But there's certain games like poker or like trading card game that is just naturally very good to put on chain. Oh yeah, I'm done.
Really. Yeah, really, really good. It's great just listening because very, very knowledgeable and just definitely learning a lot. I'm gonna have to rewatch this stream a few times, I think, just to be able to get a handle on all of the information. I do have to say quickly, Eric, I agree with you. I didn't realize that Z2048 went up to 10,000 points. I've got a few people screenshotting, sending through their scores here, and I'm like, oh, I should have been practicing while you guys were talking, and I just tried to do the questions after. But no, some people actually getting really, really good scores. It's very impressive. So well done to all of you guys. We might have to wrap up very shortly, guys. I think, Maggie, we might need like a dedicated Zypher rep to jump into our Discord to answer some of these questions. Because, again, there's been a lot that have come through, and there's some that have been directed at you specifically. So you might want to get in touch with some of those guys. Shout out to Sunny Ace. I know you've got a lot specifically for Zypher. But we might wrap it up there, guys. We're coming in on an hour. But thank you so much
I'll
for
just
your
give
time.
one thing, Anthony. if also just encouraging all of Polyhedra's community, if you are interested in interacting with the Zypher team, go join the Zypher Discord, follow Zypher on Twitter. They are very responsive and very excited to engage with all of the Polyhedrans looking to play their games or learn more about their technology. So go over there and join the Zypher community if you haven't already done so.
Yeah, actually, you see
Absolutely,
this.
yeah.
We need a AI powered like girl, for example, like to be in the community. So we don't need to do it manually. Like we can just put her there. So I believe you guys are developing something similar, but we have like a universal like game service assistant basically to support with Telegram or Discord or in the game is basically powered by the same model. Like yeah, obviously not ZKML. I'm looking forward to you guys providing the solution for that part. And right now we're just using OpenAI for the model part, but it's like going to support or do customer services for our community through different channels from the game itself to Discord and Telegram. So once that is live, we'd like to have the permission into your Discord channel.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We'd love that.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much for this fireside, guys. And yeah, great team at Zypher, great collaboration. Really looking forward to seeing what comes in the future as well. I'm sure there's going to be some exciting stuff on the horizon. And we'd love to have you back again, Maggie. You're an absolute bucket of information, and yeah, very, very knowledgeable. And thank you so much for the epic questions, Eric. You have nailed it.
Shout one more shameless plug. I will be joining the Zypher AMA tomorrow morning. So if you want some more of the Zypher Polyhedra conversation, be sure to check out the AMA on X tomorrow.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
I'll definitely be there. All right. Thank you so much again, guys, for joining us. Thank you, community, for the epic questions, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maggie.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.